Om Sri Sai Ram, Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha, Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Today we will discuss Sri Saisatcharita 42nd chapter. The 42nd chapter, 43 and 44, they describe how Baba's Mahasamadhi happened and the events related to that. So, as Baba's Mahasamadhi day is coming in October, it's good to listen to these three chapters, especially 42nd, 43rd, and 44, is very auspicious. And let us learn about that and let us learn what Baba trying to teach us through these chapters. When Guru's grace is yours, the difficulties of the worldly existence disappear. The doors to the right path are opened without effort, and unhappiness is turned to true happiness. Here, our sastras, our scriptures talk about Bhavabhaya Sagaram. That means Bhavabhaya Sagar means Bhavasagar. That means, what we go through, the happiness, unhappiness, the difficulties, all these are called Bhavasagara in this life. That means when you're born and when you die, this is the cycle, life-death cycle. This is called Bhavasagara. So what here the scripture says is that Guru's grace is necessary to cross this one. By constantly remembering the feet of the Sadguru, the obstacles, the obstructions that come along the way are removed. And then Hemad Pant also says that death loses its sting. That means there is death to the death. That means there is no death. That means there is no born again also. So there is no such thing. So all the worldly sorrows are mitigated. In this chapter, Hemad Pant talks about how Baba left his physical body and how he gave indication about this 2 years prior to the Vijayadashmi day that Baba left his mortal coil. Baba developed fever on the 28th September 1918, and then the fever lasted 2 or 3 days, but afterwards Baba gave up his food and thereby he was very weak by the day, and he was getting really weaker and weaker. On the 17th day, that is Tuesday, the 15th October 1918, Baba left his mortal coil at about 2:30 p.m. So this was also mentioned as an auspicious day for Muslims, and this was also mentioned as Buddha Jayanti day. 2 years before this, Baba gave an indication that was like in 1916, but nobody can understand what Baba showed that day because it was presented in such a way that it is difficult to predict or suspect what Baba was trying to tell us. So what happened that day in 1916, Vijayadashmi day? It is also called Simo Langan day. It is a custom that is followed by the people around Shirdi during those days. So what happened? Baba got into a wild rage, and then what he did is that he took off his the kafani and the langota, that inside thing, and the head dress, whatever he had, the scarf-like thing. He tore them and threw them in the duni. The fire in the duni already was burning really good, And then once he put all this stuff, it started really became big. And then Baba started to shone still brighter. He stood there stark naked and with his burning red eyes shouted, "You fellows, now have a look and decide finally whether I am a Muslim or a Hindu." Everybody was trembling with fear and none dared to approach Baba at that time. After some time, the Bagoji Shinde, who served Baba and who was taken care of by Baba also to help him with his leper disease, he went boldly near him and succeeded in tying a undergarment like langota waistband around his waist and said, "Baba, what is all this? Today is the Simolangan, Dasara holiday." And then Baba, striking the ground with his satka, said, "This is my Simolangan." Simolangan means crossing the border. Baba did not cool down until 11 p.m. that day. At 10 o'clock also everybody was waiting because Chavadi was supposed to take place. But they were scared to approach Baba and ask him. So it was 10 o'clock and then 11 o'clock. Around 11 o'clock that night, Baba calmed down and he wore new clothes, and then he agreed to do the Chavadi procession, and then the devotees kind of conducted the Chavadi procession and served Baba afterwards. And then by this incident, Baba gave a suggestion that Dasara was the proper time for him to cross the border of life, that is the Simolangan. But none understood its meaning. Baba gave also another indication as follows by averting the death of the Ramchandra Patil. Once he became very sick and asked Baba, how long will he live? Then Baba tells him that he'll be fine. He took away his death, but he's worried about Tatya, who will die on Vijayadashmi day. Ramchandra Patil got better over a period of time, and then he was worried about Tatya, and Baba told him not to speak to Tatya. Then he couldn't control himself, and he spoke to one of his friends, Bala Shimpe, about this issue. And then both Bala and Patil started worrying about it. The days passed by, and then all of a sudden, Tatya fell sick and was bedridden. And then he could not get out of the house and could not come for Baba's darshan also. At the same time, Baba was also down with fever, and he was getting weaker by the day. Tatya had full faith in Baba because he has seen so many miracles. Baba protected him all his life. So he was fully happy, just even though he was sick, he had faith in Baba that he's going to be all right. But people around him were worried about Tatya. Tatya's illness began to grow from bad to worse, and he could not move at all, but always remembered Baba. The predicament of Baba began to grow equally worse. The day predicted, that is Vijayadashmi, was impending, and then Dada Ramchandra Patil and Bala Shimpe were frightened about Tatya, and with their bodies trembling and perspiring with fear, thought that, as predicted by Baba, Tatya's end is kind of imminent. He's going to die. And they were all worried about it. And then Vijayadashmi day came. Tatya's pulse became very weak. Everyone thought that Tatya won't survive. But then a miracle happened. Tatya started recovering, and then he gained some kind of strength. Everyone thought that because he thought everyone thought that Baba is going to protect him, but how he protected was Tatya lived and Baba left his body. So everybody thought that Baba, in exchange for Tatya's life, he left his body. And then next morning, Baba appeared to Dasganu Maharaj at Pandarpur in his dream, and then told him that the masjid collapsed. All the oil shoppers, oil men, and grocers of Shirdi teased me a lot, so I leave that place. I therefore came to inform you here. Please go there quickly and cover me with buckle flowers. And then Dasaganu also got the information from Shirdi that Baba Mahasamadhi happened. So he came to Shirdi with his disciples, and he covered Baba with flowers, garlands, and everything, and then started the bhajan and kirtan, sang the Lord's name all through day and night before Baba's Samadhi. And then he made a beautiful garland of flowers studded with the Lord's Hari name, and he placed it in Baba's Samadhi and gave him like Anna Santarpana, mass feeding in Baba's name afterwards. This is how the whole circumstance and event took place. But that morning, another miracle happened, which was seen by some of the people who were there at that time in Dwarkamai. Laxmi Bai was there, and then Baba gave her 9 rupees prior to his Mahasamadhi. What happened was, he around 10 o'clock that morning, he appeared to regain his strength, and he sat up, and then he put his hand in the kaphani pocket, and then took out first rupees 5 and gave it to her, and then 4 rupee coins were given. So altogether 9 rupee coins were given to Laxmi Bai. Why? Laxmi Bai was an ardent devotee of Baba. What happened was, one time, how he taught Laxmi Bai about this universal feeling, omniscience of Baba, was like this. He told her one day that he was so hungry, he wanted her to bring some food. So she goes home and cooks roti and then some curry and brings to Baba. He saw a dog looking for food there. Then that's why he requested food from Laxmi Bai. And then once she brings the food, he gave this food to the dog. Then she asks him, how come he gave the food to dog? Because she brought it for him. Then he told her that feeding the dog and appeasement of dog's hunger is same as treating his hunger. Then she understood how Baba is omniscient and present in all creatures. The dog has got a soul. The creatures may be different, but the hunger of all is the same. Though some speak and others are dumb, know for certain that he who feeds the hungry really serves me with food. Regard this as an axiomatic truth. This is how Baba taught Laxmi Bai with this incident. Even though this was a simple incident, but it is connected with daily life. But the lesson was full of spiritual value. Sai's words for such a lesson were perfectly flavored with love and kindness to entire world, entire living beings. Speaking in words of daily parlance, he imparted the outline of spiritual teaching. It's like a very simple teaching. Baba never talked about complicated scriptures, but he pinpointedly told us anybody's shortcomings and follies and then taught us to walk the right way. From this time onward, Laxmi Bai began to offer him daily bread and milk with love and devotion. He took a part of this and sent the remainder with Laxmi Bai to Radha Krishna Mai, who always relished and ate Baba's remnant prasad. Radha Krishna Mai also so blessed to eat Guru's prasad like that. Baba gave her special privilege to Laxmi Bai as Tatya and Mahasamadhi when it came to entering the Dwarka Mai, because she served Baba with utmost devotion. So, like we talked, he first gave 5 rupees and then gave 4. So he gave total in 9 rupees, depicting the 9 modes of bhakti that is talked about in Srimad Bhagavat. Was it indicative of the 9 types of devotion, or was it because of the worship of the Ambika, the Ma, at the Navaratri festival? On the last day, it was the Simolangan. Or was Baba giving a reminder of the 9 good qualities required for a disciple, as told by Sri Krishna to Uddhava in the Srimad Bhagavat? In the 11th skanda, 10th chapter and 6th verse, there is a marvelous description of how the disciple should behave to acquire spiritual progress. That's why Baba emphasized the Ekadasa skanda, that is 11th skanda in Mahabhagavat, is a Gnana skanda which teaches us how to live our lives. That's why he advised people to read that and do Parayan all the time. And then Laxmi Bai was exceedingly fortunate to have acquired such a grace so that she received the 9 jewels from Sai's own lotus hands. So here, couple of things we need to talk about. Here, the Simolangan is the day that Shirdi people go outside of the Shirdi and then celebrate and then come into the Shirdi town, Shirdi village. So what is this means is that whenever you are doing sadhana in spiritual world, it's always good to see once inside. So we should not be focusing on the outside of us, but focusing on the inside. That means on Vijayadashmi day, you have to go out with the 9 modes of bhakti, and then you have to look inside you, finding out who really you are, and then walking towards self-realization, that is Atma Sakshatkara, or going towards the Mukti. This is the goal of human life. This is the real meaning of Simolangan, and that is why Baba selected that day to leave his mortal coil and then bless us through his omniscience. So Baba also took other precautions on that day. He asked Kaka Sahib Dikshit and Bhuti, who were near that day in Dwarka Mai, to go to Vada as they were anxious about Baba's well-being. He wanted them to go to Vada and have meals. Even though they didn't want to go, but it was Baba's order that they have to go. They have wanted to obey Baba's order. With heavy hearts, they go to Vada. But what happened, as soon as they started eating, they heard the news that Baba left his body. So then immediately they come to Dwarka Mai. When Baba left his body, he was not lying down, he was not on the floor, he was sitting and then just rested on Bayaji's body. So this is how the saints leave their bodies. who manifest for the benefit of the people, they will end the avatar as soon as their mission is complete. Could he be bound by life and death, who takes a form by his own divine sport? No. How can there be a possibility of death for saint like Sai, whose glory is the Supreme Spirit? He who is the embodiment of detachment, how can existence or non-existence have any effect on him? Saints embody themselves and come into this world with a definite mission. Once they fulfill their mission, they leave quietly and easily as they came. So this is how Baba's Mahasamadhi was introduced in the 42nd chapter to us. And we will learn more about these Mahasamadhi related incidents and circumstances in 43 and 44 chapters in the coming satsangs. And with that we will conclude this satsang. Om Sri Sadguru Sai Nadharpanamastu. Om Sri Sai Ram. Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai.